What's going on, everyone? Welcome to GBALL VISION. I hope you are having an awesome day today. I got an exciting one planned for you guys. We are talking about some of the best slicers that I have right at this point in time, and we're going to kick things off with the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the Wharncliffe edition from Cutlery Shop. This is an exclusive model through Cutlery Shop, and the last I know, or the last I knew, they still had some of these in stock. If this looks appetizing to you, I would not wait because I don't know how many more they had. And before we dive into this guy, there's a couple things that I've come to find that make a knife slicey. The first thing is having a taller blade, whether it be a tall flat grind or a very tall full hollow grind. That really aids in the knife being very slicey. And then, of course, the geometry of the blade is going to aid in that. And then, of course, how well that edge is. You know, is the edge sharp? Is it boogered up? That sort of thing. And routinely, Spyderco, because they run a full flat ground blade that's nice and tall, usually coming with some of the best edges in the production world. Typically, it is hard to find a knife that is much slicier than a Spyderco. They do such a phenomenal job with their heat treats, with their grinds, with their edges. They do just a phenomenal job, and they've maintained a very good price point as well. The same cannot be said for companies like Benchmade, who continually raise their prices even though they are giving you less or the same as before. But and their edges and geometry typically don't come anywhere close to Spyderco's. This guy's coming in XHP. You have your standard G10 handles. This has an MXG gear clip here. Just a phenomenal EDC knife, work knife. So slicey. It's ridiculous how good of a slicer the Spyderco series of knives are. So let's do a little demonstration on just how slicey these things are. Uh, just ridiculous. It doesn't even feel like it's going through the paper. It just kind of floats through this very thin magazine paper. Uh, they routinely come with some of the best edges in the game. That is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So now we're going to kind of switch things up. We have a jack wolf here. This is the low drag jack in the Jungleware Fat Carbon. Now this is what I was talking about in reference to a full hollow ground blade. S90V, beautiful drop point blade with that belt. I love this blade shape. It is still my favorite looking Jack Wolf knife to date. Now I do like some of the Warnies, but this is the most unique, most useful blade shape that I have seen from Jack Wolf. The Jungleware Fat Carbon is amazing. Grind lines are absolutely beautiful on this thing. Why don't we see how well this does? Now I have used this quite a bit, but still that S90V is maintaining a great edge as long as I don't mess up the cut. Still very slicey though, as long as you don't mess it up. Retry. There we go. Definitely nice and slicey. I realize what I'm doing. It's when I come up on that belly. But that is a full hollow ground blade. And like I said, I have used this quite a bit. Edge is still in very good shape. Might need strop back a little bit. But when I first got this knife, it was exceptional. The edge, everything about it, still is. It just might need hit on the strop a little bit. But that is the quintessential full hollow ground blade right there. So slicey, nice and thin. Just, it'll keep cutting and cutting for a very long time. And we can't talk about amazing slicers and not bring the TRM Atom into the game. We have a nice full flat ground blade here. Thin magazine paper. Now this has quite a bit of use on it as well. But still extremely sharp. 20 CV on that PVD coated blade. Just exceptionally sharp. TRM does a phenomenal job on their edges. And this has not been stropped. This has not been sharpened. Nothing. It is extremely sharp. And I haven't abused this knife, but it has seen its fair share of cutting, and it is still nice and sharp. Love this thing. If I need to do a lot of slicing, it's one of the first knives that I pick up. So there's a couple companies that come to mind when we're talking about sharp. Spyderco, TRM, and Hogue. Hogue comes with some of the absolute best edges in the game. This guy has 154 cm, nice drop point blade. This is a flat ground blade. You have aluminum handles. It is a button lock. Beautiful overbuilt beast right here. And this thing, not only is it a beast, but it is sharp and slicey as hell. This thing is just ridiculously sharp. And this is supposed to be more of a user type of knife, not necessarily a slicer. It still is a slicer because of the edge that they put on this thing. But guys, this thing is, if you want a knife that is going to be slicey with good materials for a good price, I would start at Hogue. And then, you know, Spyderco is right there. And for the money. Now, if you want to spend a little bit more money, possibly wait for the knife, then TRM is definitely another consideration. Jack Wolf is always dropping slip joints like every month. Another knife that really comes to mind when we're talking about very slicey, the Relative from EMP EDC comes to mind. Beautiful hollow ground blade. It isn't a full hollow, but it is coming down very thin. Look at them grind lines. This thing is ultra sharp. Magna cut steel. You have like a Bowie Tanto style blade. Beautiful titanium handle. Mokume pocket clip on this one. This thing is extremely slicey, guys. I love this thing. It is just ridiculous. Best Tech does a phenomenal job on their edges. And the Magna Cut relatives, the relatives in general, just came absolutely buttery sharp. Buttery sharp. Look at that. Oh, Even when it gets hung up because I'm not cutting right, it still keeps cutting. Pretty sharp. Pretty sharp. Yeah, very slicey, very thin. It's all about that geometry, about that grind. That is going to make a huge difference. And a new acquisition that is just ridiculously sharp, guys. The Null knives, Voodoo. It's a new acquisition to me. You're getting M390, acid washed, Warncliffe, sheep's foot style blade, titanium bolsters, micarta handles, or inlays, titanium pocket clip, backspacer. This thing is ridiculously sharp. This is a Riot OEM. Riot typically does a phenomenal job on their edges as well. So slicey, ridiculous. Ridiculously slicey, and absolutely beautiful as well. Just like my new mat is, isn't it? Look at that. What a beautiful new mat. You don't gotta say it. It's beautiful. I know. It is. But I just wanted to do some examples of, you know, some very slicey knives. Some of the best slicers that I have in my collection. Definitely plenty more to show off. But these are, when I thought of the video and thought of the idea, these were the 6 that came to mind. A couple of American OEMs, a couple of Chinese OEMs. Basically the best. Spyderco, TRM, and Hogue. This one's kind of unknown. Riot, you know, we don't know. QSP, we don't know who the OEM for the Jack Wolfs are. Some people can guess. Best Tech, Riot, you know, those are the top 5 or so companies who make a great knife. They put a great edge on it, and they do a phenomenal job. You couldn't ask for much more if you can get a Riot, a Best Tech, a Spyderco, a TRM, a Hogue, you know, or if you want to go a little more traditional and get a Jack Wolf with that full hollow grind. These are, you know, some of the best slicers in the world, just without question. Best slicers in the world coming from these companies. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these slicers. Who would you add in? Is there a company that I missed? If you're new here, hit the subscribe button down below. I'd love to have you here. There's lots more coming up the pipe. We do videos like this every day. We're going to be doing outdoor testing videos. Lots more of them coming up. Go ahead and check out this next video, and I will catch you on the next one.